What's up, everybody? This is episode 2 of the Daily Buzz podcast. Today, me and you are going to fill out some brackets, see how that goes. Maybe one of us will get a perfect bracket. What do you think?
I feel very confident. This is it.
Well, without further ado, let's jump right into it. Let's get this bracket going. We're going to start over here in the West region. Let's see. Gonzaga over the 16. I'm going to have to go. Gonzaga's probably the best team in the tournament, so I'm going to easily take Gonzaga. Beating App State. Oklahoma, Missouri. That's a tough one. 8-9 can go either way, but I'm going to have to go with Oklahoma. Creighton and UC Santa Barbara. 12-5. 12s have a great chance of winning. But I'm not buying into the UC Santa Barbara hype. I'm going Creighton. Virginia and Ohio. Do I want to select that ACC team? Or do I want to go with the underdog story of Ohio? Led by Jason Preston. 6'4" junior. Elite scorer. Great story. I'm going upset Ohio. USC, Wichita State, or Drake. If Wichita State gets in, I think they're a better team than Drake. But I think Wichita State wins, and they challenge USC, but I'm going to have to go USC. Kansas, Eastern Washington. There's a history of 14 seeds beating the 3, but I'm going to go Kansas easily. Oregon, VCU. VCU is a pretty good team. But I don't think they're going to beat the Ducks this time. Iowa, Grand Canyon. Little old Grand Canyon. We're going to go Iowa. It's not even a decision. Moving down to the East bracket, we got Michigan, the number 1 seed, versus the 16 seed, either Texas Southern or the Mount St. Mary's. Michigan by a lot. LSU, St. Bonaventure. St. Bonaventure with the number 9 seed. Playing an SEC school. We're going to go LSU. Colorado, Georgetown. Georgetown's coming in hot. I say they get an upset. Patrick Ewing leads the Hoyas to an upset over the Colorado. Florida State, UNCG. God, I want to go with UNCG. If they were playing anybody else, I would go with it. But I think Florida State's too tough for that team to match up with. BYU, Michigan State, UCLA. I really hope Michigan State wins this. Michigan State wins the play-in game. They will beat BYU, and I am banking on that. Texas, Abilene Christian. I'm not even going to click the matchup for that one. That's Texas all day. Connecticut, UConn. Connecticut's getting scary. Getting back one of their best players. Nobody wants to see UConn in the tournament. I'm going UConn. Alabama versus Iona. Rick Pitino. Can they do it? Can they do it? It's a good one, but I'm going to have to stay with Alabama on that one. We're going to move back up. We're going to go to the South region. Baylor versus Hartford. Baylor's struggling coming in, but they're going to get it done against Hartford. North Carolina, Wisconsin, 8-9. Wisconsin's kind of been struggling. UNC's had a down year, but I'm going to take the Tar Heels. Villanova, Winthrop. One of Nova's best players has been hurt, got hurt, out for the tournament. Winthrop's only lost 1 game. I think a lot of people is going to take them, and I'm going to be one of those people taking them to upset Villanova. North Texas, Purdue. This could be probably the best chance of a 13 team 13 seed team beating the 4 seed. But you know what? I'm going to go North Texas. It's going to be a heck of a round of 32 matchup right there with North Texas and Winthrop. We got Texas Tech, Utah State. Not even going to click it. Mac McClung's going to seal the deal. Arkansas, Colgate. Easily Arkansas. We're going to go Florida, V-Tech. We're going to go V-Tech in a tight one. Oral Roberts and Ohio State. Not even going to give Oral Roberts a chance. Ohio State moves on easily. Moving down to the Midwest region. We got Illinois and Drexel. We got Illinois winning huge. Georgia Tech, Loyola, Chicago. ACC schools, baby. Georgia Tech wins a tight one. Moving down, Tennessee, Oregon State. Oregon State getting in, stealing some spots, maybe from Louisville, who knows. They don't have a chance against Tennessee. We're going Tennessee. Oklahoma State, Liberty. As much as I want to put the Flames winning, Cade Cunningham is going to seal the deal and solidify his #1 pick in this tournament. We're going to go Oklahoma State. San Diego State and Syracuse. That is a tough one. If Buddy Boeheim gets hot, they can win the whole thing. We're going to have to go San Diego State. West Virginia, Morehead State. Can anybody see Morehead State winning? I don't know. But you know what? We're going to go Morehead State. Why not? Rutgers, Clemson. Who knows what Clemson team we're going to get. But ACC school, Clemson moves on. And the last matchup, we got Houston, Cleveland State. We're going to go Houston. All right, let's move back up. The round of 32 in the West region. We got Gonzaga, Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma might give them a good run, but Gonzaga is the #1 team in this tournament. Like I said, they move on. Creighton, Ohio. Creighton's been struggling lately. Got blowed out in their conference tournament. We're going to ride the Cinderella story of Ohio. We are going to ride it. Jason Preston is going to have a big tournament. At least I hope he is. Ohio defeats Creighton, who faces Gonzaga in the Sweet 16. USC, Kansas. USC's a pretty good team. Kansas is a good team. Should be a good game. Should be a really good game. But Kansas, look at that record against top 25 teams, 8-6. Just look at them playing 14 games against top 25 compared to 2 of USC. We're going to go Kansas winning the game. Oregon, Iowa. That's a tough one, but I'm going to have to go Iowa with that one. Luke Garza's too much for Oregon to handle. Michigan, LSU, moving down to the East region. Michigan, LSU, we're going to go, that's a tough one, but we're going to have to stay Michigan winning that game. We got the Hoyas and Florida State. Georgetown gets by the first round, but they don't get by the second round. Florida State moves on. Now I'm banking on Michigan State being here, playing Texas. Michigan State's been real hot. I hope they don't get beat in that play-in game, but we're going to... That's a tough one. This is a tough one. I'm going to have to stick with Texas. All right, last one down here, Connecticut, Alabama. UConn has been hot. I just don't think Alabama wants to see them. And if Connecticut gets here, I'm going to go Connecticut with the upset over the Tide. Moving back up, the round of 32 over here in the South. Not a big Carolina fan, but if they face Baylor, struggling Baylor at that, I'm going North Carolina with the upset and advance into the Sweet 16. Now this is a heck of a matchup. Number 12, Winthrop. Number 13, North Texas. I'm going to take the one-loss team in Winthrop, moving on to face the Tar Heels in the Sweet 16. We got Texas Tech and Arkansas. Arkansas's had a good year. They're not known for a basketball school, but we're going to ride the story of Mac McClung carrying Texas Tech over Arkansas to the Sweet 16. VTech and Ohio State. God, I want VTech to win, but I think Ohio State's going to be too good for them. Put in Ohio State facing Mac McClung in the Sweet 16. Moving down to the Midwest region, we got Illinois, Georgia Tech. Can Moses carry them? Moses Wright? Jose Alvarado? I don't know. I think Illinois is going to be too tough. We're going to move down here to Tennessee, Oklahoma State. We're going to see what Cade Cunningham can do. We're going to go Oklahoma State. San Diego State, Morehead State as an improbable 14 seed. I think I'm going to have to go with San Diego State winning. Now we got Clemson, Houston. Houston's a good team. My alma mater, ECU, current school, defeated them in the regular season, but I'm gonna have to stick with them over Clemson. Moving on to the Sweet 16. Moving back up, we got Gonzaga and Ohio. It's been a great run over here in Ohio, but we're gonna have to say it comes to a crashing halt when they face the Zags. Zags move on to the Elite 8. Then we're gonna have Kansas, Iowa. Heck of a matchup. We're going to go Iowa moves on and faces Gonzaga in the Elite 8. Moving on down, we got Michigan and Florida State. That will be a great game if we get to that point. We're going to go Florida State winning the game. Little upset. Texas, UConn. I really like UConn. I think they're going to upset Shaka Smart and he's going to have a meltdown. We're going to go UConn going on to the Elite 8. Going back over here to the South region, we got North Carolina, Winthrop. I must say the 12 seed, it comes to an end. As much as I hate doing this, North Carolina moves on to the Elite 8. Wow. We got Texas Tech, Ohio State. I think this is where Mac McClung's going to meet his match. We're going to go Ohio State. We'll be facing the Tar Heels in the Elite 8. Moving down to the Midwest region, the last region we got Illinois, Oklahoma State. We're going to go, it's going to be a heck of a game. Can Cade Cunningham upset Illinois? Illinois is a great team. We're going to say it ends there and Illinois moves on. We got San Diego State and Houston. Wow, what a matchup. What a matchup. I really like San Diego State. I'm going to say they move on as a 6th seed and make it to the Elite 8. We're down to 8 teams. Gonzaga, Iowa. We're going to take the Zags in a close one. Moving over, North Carolina, Ohio State. I'm going to say that the run has to end somewhere for the Tar Heels. Ohio State wins. We got Michigan, Florida State. Florida State, Connecticut. I like that UConn team. I really like Florida State. Florida State wins. Illinois, San Diego State. We're going to go Illinois continues on. And we have our Final Four set. Gonzaga, Florida State over here. And we got Ohio State, Illinois. Wow, what a Final Four. I'm going to go Zags win. And over here, rematch of their conference championship. Illinois wins again. Gonzaga, Illinois, national championship game. We're going to go with the Zags to win it all. And that's my pick. And I think, even though I have the Zags win it all, I would not be surprised if we go back and look at it. They could easily get beat by Oklahoma. They could easily get beat in the round of 32 or the Sweet 16. You never know. I honestly, these Final Four, none of these 4 teams could even be in the Final Four, but I'm just going to go with my prediction. Would not be surprised to see another team in there. For example, Oklahoma State or maybe Texas or anybody, but I would keep an eye out on that Ohio team. I will keep an eye out on Ohio. I would also keep an eye out on San Diego State. They could easily make it. But that's my picks, and let's go Zags.
All right, here we go.
The 2021 Tournament Challenge Bracket. Here we go. So we're going to start off here in the West. We have the number 1 seed Gonzaga versus Norfolk or App State. This is an obvious clear-cut choice right here. Gonzaga is the answer. Then we go down to the 8-9 seed matchup between Oklahoma and Missouri. This is pretty much a coin flip. The Sooners are very good and have wins over Alabama, Kansas, Texas, and West Virginia. So I think that with those wins, those victories help them propel over Missouri in a coin flip of a game, but I'm going with the Sooners. Next, we have Creighton versus UCSB Santa Barbara. The Blue Jays were not good at all against Georgetown. It is a good team, but I just don't think they're going to do that well. US Santa Barbara is solid defensively and have really good guards. So I'm choosing Santa Barbara over the upset against the Creighton Blue Jays. Then we move on to the 4th seed matchup of Virginia versus the 13 seed Ohio. There's a lot of questions coming into this game with Virginia and how they are going to answer back from all the COVID issues that they are going on internally. With that being said, I will take Ohio just because there is so much uncertainty within Virginia, and plus they're easy to guard if you just guard their bigs since they're front court heavy. And you have to make Kihei Clark score, which he's not a scorer. So then we move down to the USC versus Wichita State or Drake. The USC Trojans are very good and one of the scariest and most underrated teams in the country, led by Evan Mobley, who's arguably the top overall pick, but that's Cade Cunningham. So just with that alone, we're going with USC Trojans. Mark it down. Then move on to Kansas Jayhawks versus the Eastern Washington Eagles. Kansas has struggled as of recently, but I don't know if the Eastern Washington Eagles have enough to pull it off. But they do go through scoring droughts, but I just think Kansas is too much to handle for Eastern Washington. We'll move on to Oregon versus VCU. This is a great game to watch if you love college basketball. But overall, the Ducks can shoot, so we're going to lean with Oregon in that. Then move on to Iowa versus Grand Canyon. This is a clear-cut answer. We really don't choose 15 seeds around here. Plus, Luka Garza are going to be too much to handle anyways. Then we're going to stay right here in the West and just fill it all the way out for you. So moving into the round of 32, we have Gonzaga versus Oklahoma. The Zags just scored too many points for Oklahoma to match, so we just go with Gonzaga. Santa Barbara versus Ohio. This is the part of the bracket that gets blown up. Ohio has history and Preston. This is Ohio's chance right here to play the Cinderella story. Then we move on to USC versus Kansas. Without the COVID-19 struggles, I suspect Kansas to beat USC because of experience, but I do favor USC in this one because of the Trojans' rim protection and the star power in Evan Mobley, so we will advance with the USC Trojans. Then we move on to the 2 and 7 seeds of Oregon and Iowa. This is a tough game if you're Iowa, but since Iowa is good on the offensive end, I'm taking the Hawkeyes over the Ducks. Then we move into the the Sweet 16. Gonzaga, Ohio versus USC, Iowa. Obviously, we're taking the Zags here. Killian Tispert, Timmy, Jalen Suggs. It's just too much to handle for Ohio. They get overwhelmed. And then I'm taking Iowa over USC. A good matchup for I'm taking Iowa over USC, a good matchup for the big men, Luka Garza versus Evan Mobley. That's what everybody will be wanting to see. But just the experience that Iowa possesses will lead them to the matchup in the Elite Eight with Gonzaga.
Then we're going down to the East bracket. We'll start off the number 1 Michigan versus the 16 seeds. And this is an obvious choice right here. I don't expect a upset right here. LSU versus St. Bonaventure's. LSU can be very scary good. But I mean, they do have good guards and some good perimeter shooting. And Trendon Watford is very versatile and can rebound. I'm leaning with the Tigers of LSU right here. And we'll move down to Colorado versus Georgetown. I feel like this is an upset alert to watch just because Georgetown has length and they are very athletic. And plus, they're the best three-point shooting team in the Big East. In today's modern game, you must be able to shoot the ball. So I will lean with the Georgetown Hoyas. We move on to Florida State versus UNCG. Let's be realistic here, guys. Florida State's just too overwhelming for UNCG to handle. I mean, not. And then we move on to BYU versus Michigan State UCLA. BYU is good, but they are seated too high and not quite as good as last year's team. I'm predicting that Michigan State beats UCLA, then beats BYU. Then we move on to Texas versus Abilene Christian. The Longhorns are very good and on a high after a very first Big 12 tourney title. They have 3 really good guards, and plus they have the story of Andrew Jones. I'm leaning with the Longhorns here. Connecticut versus Maryland. This is all about defense right here. Plus, because that's what Maryland does. The Terps don't have the same rim protection as they do, but they do have a guy named Darryl Morsell, the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. So I'm leaning with Maryland here because the Huskies are good, but Maryland is tougher. I think Maryland toughs it out in a gritty game. Then move on to Alabama versus Iona. Wow, what a story it's been for Rick Pitino. He gets exiled out to Greece, comes back to Little Iona. The man just knows how to coach, but he doesn't have the talent that Alabama does. We are leaning with the Crimson Tide in this matchup right here. Then we go back to Michigan versus LSU. The Wolverines are better defensively and more disciplined at both ends. Even if Livers isn't back from the foot injury he sustained, I favor Michigan to win in this contest. Georgetown versus Florida State. Both teams are methodical, but Florida State is more talented and deep, thus propelling Florida State into a matchup against Michigan. Then we move on to Michigan State versus Texas. You know, the Longhorns appear to be a special team, but does Michigan State have what it takes to absorb some of that magic and specialness that Texas has about them? I just don't see it. Texas is significantly better and has more guard stability, thus propelling them to a victory over Michigan State Spartans. Then move on to Maryland versus Alabama. Both teams are similar defensively and are difficult to score upon, even without rim protection. But Alabama scores and has more guard play. Alabama wins. Then we move on to Michigan versus Florida State. This will be a great game to watch, but most people might lean to Michigan right here. But I'm going to lean with the Seminoles because they have more versatility on defensively. And plus, with Isaiah Livers missing from Michigan with his foot injury, I think that causes some concerns with the length that Florida State possesses. So we're going with the Seminoles. Then we have number 3 versus number 2. Number 3 Texas versus number 2 Alabama. Should be a great game to watch. This could be one of the best Sweet 16 games that we see all week. I just think Alabama pulls away because they have the ability to stretch the floor against Texas in this matchup. Then we have Florida State versus Alabama in the Elite Eight. I just don't know if Alabama has what it takes, but I don't know about Florida State either. I think this is a season that Alabama will make us remember. So I'm going with Alabama in this matchup right here. Then we move over here to the South region, where all the names come into play. The name brand. Baylor Bears. The Bears are the top three-point shooting team in the country at 43%. That's all we need to know right there. Hartford can't stop that. I mean, Baylor has 5 players that shoot over 40% from the field. So that tells you enough right there. Then we move on to UNC versus Wisconsin. You know, as much as I want to choose Carolina here, I probably will lean with them, just because of the front court depth and the ability for that to factor in. But Carolina's guards have got to step up in a tough matchup. Some people will probably lean towards Wisconsin here. I can see why, but I'll lean with UNC. Then move down to Villanova versus Winthrop. This is an upset alert to watch. I like Villanova due to Jeremiah Robinson Earl, but without their leader Gillespie, I think I'm going to lean towards Winthrop in an upset right here. Then move on to Purdue versus North Texas. The Mean Green are solid defensively, but turn the ball over too much. So that with that being said, Purdue will score and take easy buckets off of that. And with North Texas being the lower seed, you just can't give the higher seed easy buckets. So we're leaning with Purdue right here. Then move down to Texas Tech versus Utah State. Chris Beard has another good team in Texas. Utah State's a little iffy. A bubble team, questionable team to get in. Texas Tech just knows what it takes to get over the hump. So we're leading into our Texas Tech right here. Then we move on to Arkansas versus Colgate. The Colgate Raiders are very good offensively, and they know how to shoot the ball well. But the Razorbacks are the number 3 seed for a reason. Moses Moody is too much to handle. Average over 17 points and 6 boards. He knows what to do. We're learning with the Razorbacks. Then we go down to Florida versus Virginia Tech. I personally think Virginia Tech should have been a little bit higher than a 10 seed, but that's okay. They can be a very scary 10 seed in this matchup against the Gators. So with that being said, I'm leaning with VT. Then move down to Ohio State versus Oral Roberts. This seems pretty simple enough. We'll go with the Ohio State. Then we have the round of 32, Baylor versus UNC. If Carolina's guards can hold on to the ball in this matchup, then I see them propelling against Baylor due to Baylor having no height in the front court. So with that being said, I think I'm going to lean with the Tar Heels here. Then we move over to Purdue versus Winthrop. The size and toughness of Purdue overmatches Winthrop in this matchup. Then we have Texas Tech versus Arkansas. Everybody's on the hype train of Mac McClung, but nobody talks about Moses Moody. I think Moses Moody was the difference here, but it's a coin flip. But I still think Moses Moody is too much to handle. We're going with the Razorbacks. Then move down to VT versus Ohio State. I just think the Buckeyes are too good offensively to let VT beat them, but you never know. But we'll go with the Buckeyes. So then you move on to Carolina versus Purdue. I think this is where Roy Williams tournament ends right here. We will go with the Purdue Boilermakers right here. And then we have Ohio State versus Arkansas. I'm going to lean with Ohio State because Arkansas is not good defensively. And then Purdue versus Ohio State. I think I'm going to lean with Ohio State in this matchup. Then we move down to the Midwest region. Illinois, they're the 1 seed for a reason. Big Ten champs. Loyola Chicago versus Georgia Tech. This is probably the most compelling 8 versus 9 seed games out here. I think Georgia Tech has a better defense. Jose Alvarado, I mean, he'll probably rack up 5 steals in this game, which will lead to easy transition buckets. I'm going to lean with Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Then we move down to Tennessee versus Oregon State Beavers. I just think Tennessee will prevail in this matchup. It'll be a good game to watch, but Tennessee prevails. Oklahoma State versus Liberty. The dark horse of this tournament, Cade Cunningham, the clear-cut #1 pick, ahead of Evan Mobley. So we will lean with Oklahoma State Sooners. Then we go down to San Diego State versus Syracuse. Buddy Boeheim can air it out and light it up from the floor. And that 2-3 zone defense might be too much for San Diego State to answer. But the Syracuse defense isn't as good as it once was, but still it gives teams trouble. So I'll lean with Syracuse right here in this matchup. Then move down to West Virginia versus Morehead State. Morehead State is 19-1 since the first of the year, the most wins in Division I over that span. But West Virginia Mountaineers are too much to handle defensively and offensively on the court. So with that being said, West Virginia Mountaineers get it done. And then we move on to Clemson versus Rutgers. Clemson has faced battles all season, especially with COVID, internal battles with COVID. They just haven't found their rhythm as of late. I think I lean with Rutgers here. Then we go down to Houston versus Cleveland State Vikings. This is just too much for the Vikings to handle. Houston prevails in that victory. Then we go back up here. Illinois versus Georgia Tech. This is not a good game if you're an Illinois fan, just because Georgia Tech defensively wise, but I could probably see Moses Wright getting into foul trouble, limiting Georgia Tech defensively, but still, this is not a good matchup for Illinois, but I still take Illinois for the victory. Then we have Oklahoma State versus Tennessee. The Volunteers are good defensively and more experienced, but still, I know that they can go on scoring droughts. And with that being said, when Cade Cunningham's out there on the court, he just gets the whole team going for the Sooners. So we're going with the Sooners over the Vols. Then we move down to Syracuse versus West Virginia. The Mountaineers can shoot and rebounds, 2 things that cause the 2-3 zone to collapse. Thus, the Mountaineers will win easily against Syracuse. Houston versus Rutgers is a very intriguing matchup, but offensively, the offensive rebounding for Houston and the defense will send them to the next round. I have the Houston Cougars squeaking by Rutgers. Then move on to Illinois versus Oklahoma State. Like I said, guys, Oklahoma State is the dark horse in this tournament. I can see them beating Illinois. Thus, I understand that Illinois has 2 superheroes on that team, but still, I like Oklahoma State. Then move down to West Virginia versus Houston. West Virginia shoots it better. Houston rebounds it better. I think I'll lean towards the shooting. West Virginia. Then I have Oklahoma State, West Virginia. We are taking the dark horse, Oklahoma State. And then we move over here to the Final Four, Gonzaga versus Alabama. Both teams can score. Gonzaga is the better offensive team. Both teams can defend. Alabama is the better defensive team. I lean towards offense over defense in this one. We all know defense wins championships, but Zags are too much for Alabama to handle defensively. Then we have Ohio State versus Oklahoma State. I think I'm going to lean towards Oklahoma State, guys. Oklahoma State. Gonzaga versus Oklahoma State in the championship game. The Zags will be entering this game 31-0. And it will only have played one game decided by single digits. So with that being said, Mark Few wins his first national title to his Hall of Fame resume. So there we go. The Zags will finish it off 32-0.
All right, everybody. We just filled out our brackets. Go down, drop a comment which bracket you like better. We'll see how those go. I picked Zags. You got the Zags.
Got the Zags as well. Oklahoma State is the dark horse in this bracket. Let's go.
I like Ohio. We'll see how these teams go, but we'll see how that goes. Anyways, we're signing off. Episode 3 later this week. Drop a comment. What else y'all want to see? And we'll get that out to you as soon as we can. Daily Buzz